This is Suzette and Mark, or Mark and Suzette from the Free J. I'm the one that's holding the camera here. He doesn't know. I asked him, could I record you asking you some things? So he doesn't even know what I'm going to ask him. He's sitting there patiently waiting. So I got a question. Coming from, ooh, and then there was light.
The Holy Spirit's here.
Uh-huh. A religious background, you and I. There was a time when people would pray over us or pray over me, and there was a time when a pastor mentioned to me how if I didn't, pray and fast and for my children or our children, they would get worse. And today I was pondering on that, and I just wonder, I was thinking about what that pastor told me, and he told me about he named two of the children, and the two that he named are worse. And I started to believe him today. And I just wonder, what do you think about that? What is your take on that?
There was something that happened years ago regarding one of your kids, and someone said some negative things. They said these bad things are. It's a different situation, and I said that person just cursed their kids, And I was religious at the time, but I saw that. I believe I saw that because you're speaking evil of someone, and it's an evil thing that hasn't happened yet. I looked at it and I just said, that's a curse. We need to rebuke that. And I'm not saying rebuking is a religious thing. It's okay to rebuke because I didn't know what else to do. I'm not saying I know exactly what to do now, but I brought that up because that was a non-so-called leader, but a Christian who did that. And now you're telling me an account that I know somewhat of. You told me before, I didn't know you were given the two names, but I believe that person was cursing your children. And I don't know their hearts. I don't know how intentional that curse is, but it is a curse. And now we can be affected by curses if we become superstitious and believe we're at the whim of this spirit or that spirit or whatever, because we see people are affected by witchcraft and all these crazy things. I don't believe any of that stuff can affect me. And I'm not saying your kids could be. Hopefully they don't know about it, because that's probably the only thing that would affect them. They might start to worry, this so-called holy man said something about me. But that's in essence what it was. And it was also, in my opinion, a manipulation, a very powerful manipulation, because at that point when you were told that, you went from being a mother who loves her kids and wants the best for them to being a savior who's responsible for the success or failure of your children in this world. And I'm pretty confident in saying that was implied that even in the world to come, that was on you. According to your prayer and your fasting, your children would live or not eternally. Even if it's just implied, that's an awful thing to do. It's a horrible thing to do. It's a very common thing to do in religion, unfortunately. And I can't say nothing much harsher about it. That's an evil thing. So to me, the intentions of that doesn't matter. Or the honesty, the sincerity doesn't matter. They may be sincere, they may believe it, but they're believing a lie of the devil, whether it's their devil friend in another pulpit or the devil himself taught this in some dream or prayer they had. They are teaching evil. They are teaching the concept that one human can be another human's savior. And I hope I don't need to explain to anyone that is not biblical in any way, shape, or form. Sure, pray for each other. But we have a God. And that God is ministering to everyone. He's reaching for everyone. And He is the one who is going to decide who goes where, not you or I. So I kind of got a little upset when you said that because it reminded me of that. And I think that's a wicked and awful thing to do. And like I say, he was a sincere person. It's a mean person. It's an awful person. People who tell people things like that, and I know some of them, I've been told secondhand, oh, they didn't listen to me. Now their kids are going to go right down the tank. And just say it so matter-of-factly, as though they were the very mouth of God, as they were a prophet. I just think that's wicked and evil and awful. It's not true. And I think you know that, babe. I hope you know that. But you said you started to believe it today.
I started to believe it a little bit, and then I realized how that spirit of fear try to creep in, or something like that. But I just wanted to know your take on that and how, because I know that a lot of people, pastors pray over a lot of people, and they deliver these messages. What do you call them?
Prophecies.
They prophesy. Yeah, they say some of them are prophets and they prophesy.
Mm-hmm.
But not everything is from God.
Oh no. A lot of things are the flesh.
And so, you can live your life believing these lies and living in fear and horror and thinking that something is going to happen to your loved one because you're not praying and fasting enough, or you don't even attend a church building, and you're not faithful to the house of God, they say. So then they say that your family member or someone you care about is going to, backslide and get worse and all these things.
And think of the offense, not only the manipulation, the cruelty to you and all the other people they do this to, but think of the offense to God. Because this is basically the picture. God's sitting there waiting and going, well, I'd like to save these kids, but I'm just waiting for her to pray for her kids and fast a little bit more, because how do you even know how much fasting should be done? You just got to fast and pray, I guess, until it happens. And God's just waiting. Well, you better hit that qualifying number there of days of prayer and fast, or else your kids are doomed, my Savior. That's what you become. I mean, that is so crazy. It's so crazy. I shouldn't even smile because there's nothing funny about it. It's evil, and people are believing it, and they're taking out all this guilt for the salvation of their loved ones when it's all God. I'm not saying you can't help people or harm people, but the bottom line is it's that person's decision. I don't care if it's in the world or in the spiritual sense. God is pricking their hearts, and they respond to it or they don't. Of course, we try to reach our kids, and we love them with all our hearts, but we're just as flawed as they are. So to assume that one flawed person is supposed to save another flawed person, yeah, that's bad. And I'm glad you know better, because a lot of people don't, and they walk around thinking that they doom some poor soul to hell because of their lack.
Right. And what it made me realize, though, more than anything, is how that little voice, that little creepy thing, or whatever you want to call it, not voice, but just wants you to believe that God is so horrible that way, that He would do that to your children, or He would do that to anyone that you love, that He's a mean God and He doesn't care, and He's going to do that if you don't do this.
It's terrible. Same messages from the garden. He doesn't love you. He's lying to you. He doesn't have nothing good for you. He's keeping it from you, unless you can do something good to earn it. Yeah, it's terrible.
All right, well, that's the only thing I wanted to ask you.
Hey, thanks for asking, baby. That was interesting.
Okay.
Okay.